Okay, right, boys and girls, we're going to film this with your permission.
You may.
Right then, because you're doing the gold list method, and you've now done in your first list from various courses and things that you've been studying. You've put 1,500 words into the top left-hand corner, starting up there. Yeah. So the rest of it is quite correctly empty. What was the last time you saw the words? Here, the words at the beginning, the words from 100 or from 1 on, you did on the 6th of last month, of 6th, pardon me, of January. So you've left it for nearly 2 months, which is, in my opinion, the ideal time when you're starting off. And you haven't seen this for more than 2 weeks, right?
Exactly.
Right. So you haven't seen this for quite some time. This is important. When you're going to do any kind of distillation, you must not have seen the list that you're distilling from at the point of distillation, when you're deciding what you're going to take forward and what you're not going to take forward, for 2 weeks, so that at the time of that decision, you're not led astray by the short-term memory, which might tell you that you would learn something when you hadn't actually learnt it to the long-term memory. Language learning is all about learning to the long-term memory. That's what underpins the whole gold list system. You've been eating a lot of food while doing this book, I can tell.
Only today.
Only today, all right then. Well, so we've got up to 1,500 words in the head list, and as it should be all the time through, not included. It's interesting that you've used the terms the equal sign. Going all the way through this is you say equals movich, for example. In languages, a word in one language doesn't usually actually equal a word in another, because the semantic maps between languages aren't really equivalent. Yeah. Let's take an example. Scholar equals naukowiec. Yeah. Scholar is sometimes used in English as to be quite a term for quite a young student. Somebody, but it depends as well. American usage and British usage changes, whereas scholar more in the terms of the American usage of, because in traditional English, a scholar was before a student. Now they call this, you're talking about scholar, is usually somebody who's in a school which is like a college, and a student is somebody who's in the school. It's the other way around. So this naukowiec also means like a scientist almost. So it's not exactly an equivalent, but it'll get you a reasonable way across. Okay, so normally it's a question of doing this for yourself, but because Moggy doesn't yet have the full certainty as to how to use the system. Sorry, just amending a spelling matter in that, because it's scorpion has a K in Polish, not a C. It would be Sorpian if it had a C. So while we're about it, we can just check it through. You see, make sure he's on the right lines, so that he doesn't go ahead and do things, on this distillation, which are not going to be ideal. Now, normally what you would do is you're checking to see how well you know words. Okay. Now I'm going to do the check with you, which normally you could do just as well for yourself by covering over half of it, or even just simply ask yourself, which of these words do I know the best? For each 25 words, you either have got to find that you know very well already a certain number of them, or that you can easily conjoin 2 of them together to make a vocabulary unit of more than one word and learn them together as one liner afterwards. So you're either chucking some out, or you're distilling them together into one line. Okay, so it's interesting the words that you've taken at the beginning, and recently we did this. I did this video for Cheryl from Manitoba on where you'd get your words from at the very outset, and as you see, these are not necessarily the ideal words from the very first go, but by the time you got to 1,500 words. Here, these are certainly words which you'd expect to find in your first 1,500 words, so it's not that terribly bad that it's actually already on the first page. But let's just take it through and see how well you've remembered them, okay? I'm going to say the word, because we're after passive knowledge, I'm not going to say the word in English and expect you to know it in Polish. I'm going to say the words in Polish and see if you can remember them in English, okay? Probably for only a third of them you'll be able to remember them,
Okay.
according to Ebbinghouse's theory. I don't know whether you will or not, we'll find out, but we'll see how good Ebbinghaus actually is. Okay, dziękuję.
Thank you.
Okay. You reckon you could remember how to spell that?
That's a tough one.
Okay, well, okay, what if I were to say, jak masz na imię?
What is your name?
Good. Gdzie jest łazienka?
Where is the bathroom?
Okay. Co to jest?
What is this?
Jak się masz?
Jak się masz? Yes. How are you?
Yes. At the moment I'm just making notes at the side as to how hesitant you were. Some of them you seem more certain than others. Bardzo dobrze, a ty?
Very well, and you?
Okay. Czy mówisz po angielsku?
Do you speak English?
You're welcome.
Proszę.
Alright, here it says proszę bardzo, but proszę is okay. Excuse me.
Przepraszam.
Okay, I even took it the other way around and you knew it, so that's good. Right, ananas.
It's pineapple.
Okay, you seem to know them all so well that we're going to be able to really distill them down quite heavily. Pająk?
There's a train.
Nope.
No. There goes one.
Okay, well, that's good. You shouldn't be knowing them all immediately. That was actually quite heavy distillation going on now. Train is pociąg and it's on the same page. Pająk is spider. But I'll put both of them because you're getting them confused. We'll have both of them going forward, yeah? So, right. Vence.
Snake.
Aha. Vence is not, it's moustache. You got that one confused. Vence is also on the page as well. So we'll put those two going forward. Gąbka.
Gąbka. Nie wiem.
Okay, good. Sponge. Okay. Wątroba.
Is liver.
Good. Łąka.
Is oak, I think.
No, it's not. It's also got an ong in it, but oak is dom, but it's not on this page. I'll have to let you take that one forward. Flour.
Kwiaty. Kwiat.
Oh, no, I don't mean that kind of flour. I mean the flour that you make bread from.
Nie wiem.
Mąka. Okay. Mąż.
Mąż is man or husband.
Yeah, let's be clear about this. It means husband, but also mąż means man. It's actually it's related to the Germanic term man, but it's more like a statesman, like mąż stanu. Yes, is a statesman. Normal word for a man is mężczyzna. Okay, so you're not 100% on there. I'll let you take that one forward as well. Then piątek.
Piątek is Friday.
Okay, we can take it off here, and then but include it when we're doing the days of the week. Distill together with the other days in the week. But from here we can take it off. I'm sure you've done it again later when you've done days and things like that. Chrząszcz.
Nie wiem.
Okay, it's a beetle. It's not a word which you actually use that often, but because Polish people like to make foreigners repeat the phrase chrząszcz brzmi w trzcinie w Szczebrzeszcinie, you have to learn how to say it. Otherwise Poles will be very disappointed that you can't say chrząszcz brzmi w trzcinie w Szczebrzeszcinie.
There's a lot of shit there.
There certainly is. Okay, gołąb.
Is a pigeon.
Yes, what else can it be other than a pigeon?
Maybe a bird, I guess.
Dove.
A dove.
A dove, yeah. Well, a pigeon is actually all that a pigeon is a domesticated dove anyway. but the term go on, but I'm just mentioning that because there isn't that distinction in Polish. So people will say that the Holy Spirit looks like a go-on, whereas if you said that the Holy Spirit looked like a pigeon, it would not be very poetic. The Holy Spirit looks like a dove, yeah.
Okay.
In that biblical image of the Holy Spirit coming down like a dove. If you say the Holy Spirit is like a pigeon, it's a little bit pejorative. So it's not the sort of thing you want to do. So therefore, it's as well to know that once at Golem is both pigeon and dove. But I'll let you take that one forward, even though you knew it. I want to add some information about it. Książę. Książę.
Yeah.
That's a prince. Książka.
It's a book.
It is, but I'm going to let you take that forward, just so that you can see the difference between that and książę, because in my experience, those are things which people do tend to get muddled up. So I'll ask you to take książka forward as well, and at least for one more distillation. Trumpet. Actually, I did this wrongly around. Trąbka. Would you have known trąbka?
No.
You wouldn't. Okay, so that's taking that one forward. So the ones to take forward, I've put zeros next to them. If I count up the ones, the ones to take forward would be this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 to take forward. On top of which you had a couple of slight hesitant ones. Let's take jak się masz bardzo dobrze a ty together and turn them into one line. The symbol that I've done here, which is like bringing them two together and knopping off one, okay, is put them together on one line, okay. Those two there. This symbol here, which is like a cross within a circle, means you know it. Let's keep JS Łazienka because it's a little bit on the tough side, and I'm not sure you'd remember how to spell it. So let's keep JS Łazienka, even though you were able to say it going that way. We'll keep it in just to be on the safe side, because what we need to get down here is about 7 or 8 of these symbols. Yes, you had no problem with them. I'm sure you'll be able to spell it as well. Dziękuję. Let's keep that going just so that you can practice the spelling of it, because it's not the easiest one. But let's put it together with proszę bardzo. Yeah? Because it's something which when somebody says dziękuję, the other person says proszę or proszę bardzo. Yeah? Dziękuję bardzo goes with proszę bardzo, dziękuję more with proszę. So, czy mówisz po angielsku? You had no problem with that. You might want to keep it going forward because it's not easy to spell czy mówisz. Remember that it's with an u zamknięty, and therefore let's turn those two into one line and have excuse me, do you speak English as a single line. They were separate lines before, but you can put them together into a single phrase. Przepraszam, czy mówisz po angielsku? Yeah. However, one thing I would like to do here is normally you would not be able to say czy mówisz po angielsku to a stranger in the street unless they were younger than you. Yeah, remarkably younger than you, already not grown up. So I'm going to change the mówisz to czy mówi pan or czy mówi pani po angielsku. The sh means ty. Yeah, if you say mówisz, it means you're saying to the person ty. So czy mówi pan or pani po angielsku would be more appropriate to people that you don't know. Yeah, because as you're aware by now, you have to speak to people in that third person.
Exactly.
As a matter of politeness in Polish. So przepraszam, czy mówi pan, pani po angielsku. You can bring those two together as a single unit. Then you knew ananas. You pretty much knew. Yeah. Yeah. So we can kick that out. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kicked out. Wątroba, you will definitely kick out piątek. Okay. Wątroba, you knew it. We could kick it out, couldn't we?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's all you need to kick out, yeah? Where you've got this two brought together, it means make a phrase from both of them. Yeah, so you say jak się masz bardzo dobrze, ty is a single liner. I don't think you need to bother adding the English on the right hand side. Just write that across as that line entry, but you'll already know it well enough. It's just a question of giving it a bit more practice. Yeah. So that means that wherever you don't need the marks that I put on initially. Oh, shoot. I don't have an eraser here. Oh yes, I do. But there. Oh, here we are. It's a nice one with a menorah written on it. If we get rid of the notes that I made at the beginning as we were going through, because this is the conclusions. Yeah. So it gives you the plan of what you're going to do with it, and then you can do several of these at once. And then when you're distilling again, you go through next time. So this time, let's just take advantage of the fact that we're doing it, because that one you're keeping, yeah. If this means you're getting rid of that. So the first one you write here will be JS Łazienka, where's the bathroom? Because you're getting rid of that because it's got the X next to it. So when you start up here, it'll be number 1, yeah. Don't forget the date. Let's say it's 2nd of the 3rd, 09, yeah, 1, and then what you're going to do is you're going to write the first one which didn't have an X by it, yeah. So this will be this one will be JS Łazienka. Number 2, this has its own numbering system. The top right hand side has a separate numbering system to the others because we kicked out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means that we're not going to get down further than 8. 25 minus 8 is obviously 17, so we're only going to write 17 down here, yeah. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's a 17 there. I'm just doing that for you so also the viewers and listeners can get an idea of what I'm doing here. That's the top right hand side has got a complete separate numbering system, and so the second page here will start at the top with 18, yeah. It's in the same way as it started with 26 seconds. Always have 25 at the top left hand corner. Then usually you'll be aiming at about 18. Doesn't matter. You don't have to be religious about the 18 or keeping in 17. It could be 18. It could be 16. But I think the ideal thing is to go for about 30% distillation rate, which is what we've got here. Let's see if we can keep that up on the second page. Okay. This is a bit more crowded, so it makes it harder to put the marks on. I'll probably put the marks on the right hand side. Okay. So let's keep on going just to give an idea of it. Again, I'm going to, because we're interested in how much passive knowledge there is. It doesn't have to be active. It might be active in your case because you're in Poland. But let's see how much passive of this you've got. Czy pani mówi po polsku?
Do you speak Polish?
Very good. I think we can probably get rid of that, especially as we said something very, very similar earlier. Proszę wybaczyć mój słaby polski. Yeah, we can put that one forward, although I'm not sure. Use this one down here that I gave you before. Proszę wybaczyć moją słabą polszczyznę. It's because mój słaby polski sounds a little bit funny. Keep it in, but use this. Yeah, use this for it. For this one, okay. That version that I gave you earlier. Polszczyzna means Polish language, yeah, rather than Polski. Polski is an adjective, Polish, but mój polski, mój język polski is not as elegant as saying moja polszczyzna. So, co słychać?
I'm listening.
Nie, słucham is I'm listening. Co słychać is how are things going? How's it going? Another way of saying that, jak się pani or panu powodzi. You probably don't remember that one either. Dziękuję całkiem nieźle.
Thank you. Nie wiem.
Well, it literally means not at all badly. What you've written is I'm fine, thank you. Dziękuję całkiem nieźle. Cieszę się, że cię widzę. Remember, you always need the comma before że in Polish. Cieszę się, że cię widzę. What does that mean?
Nie wiem.
Okay. I'm happy to see you. Okay. Kiedy pan mówi powoli, dobrze pana rozumiem.
Kiedy means when.
Mm-hmm.
Powoli. Nie wiem.
Yeah. See, what happened is you've already made longer phrases of things which you didn't learn as individual vocabulary. That's why you've gone a little bit too far already in the first for the head list. Have put such large phrases already in the head list, which should have been broken down a little bit more. I don't think we're going to get anything like a 25 down to 18 this time. Probably most of these you're going to have to keep in there.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them you'll probably be all right with it. How about rozumiem?
Rozumiem, I understand.
Yeah, so you can kick that one out. Wcale nie.
Nie wiem.
Not at all. Okay. Pani mówi całkiem dobrze. Całkiem dobrze.
Całkiem.
Całkiem. Very.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah. Pani mówi całkiem dobrze. You speak very well. Or pan mówi.
Mm-hmm.
Bardzo się denerwuję, kiedy zaczynam mówić po polsku.
Nie wiem.
I get very nervous when I speak Polish. Yeah. Maybe you don't need that. I don't think it makes you all that nervous, do you? Niestety nie.
Niestety nie.
How do you say niestety? See, I don't like the way these phrases have been translated, because this is the problem. I don't recommend learning from phrase books, and this is what you get when you learn from phrase books. You get paraphrases instead of translations, because here's an example. Niestety nie is written down here as I am sorry, no. Niestety doesn't mean I'm sorry, although it does in some senses, because it's not an equals mark, remember. Niestety means unfortunately, literally. Mm-hmm. So niestety nie means unfortunately not. It's another way of saying I'm sorry, no, but that's too much of a paraphrase for my liking. So I think we need to keep it in, but I'm just going to adjust this. Literally, unfortunately not, unfortunately not. Okay? Mm-hmm. Cześć, co słychać u ciebie?
Hello.
Yeah. Co słychać u ciebie?
I'm fine.
No, co słychać u ciebie? How are things going with you?
How are you?
Yes. So we had co słychać up there. We were going to keep it in, but because it's repeated down here, we can track that one up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we've now got 3 that we can actually take out, which means it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Dziękuję, a co u ciebie? U mnie wszystko w porządku. How about that?
Say again.
Dziękuję.
Thank you.
A co u ciebie? Co u ciebie? See, you've got two things going on in that sentence. A co słychać? The słychać is taken away. Co means what? Yeah. The słychać is understood because you had it in an earlier sentence.
Mm-hmm.
U ciebie means like with you. Yeah, with you. Yeah. U mnie wszystko w porządku. Wszystko w porządku?
I can't remember the word.
It means everything's well, everything's in order, literally. Porządek is order, w porządku is in order. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy how Zakopane always seems to find its way into these phrases. Tak byłem przez 2 tygodnie w Zakopanem, which is something which is not very useful for the learner. But yes, I've been in Zakopane for 2 weeks. Okay. Jak się ma twoja rodzina? Twoja, nie twoja, twoja rodzina.
How is your family?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Jak się ma twoja rodzina? So you can kick that one out as well, I think. Okay. Cieszę się, że cię widzę. You had in twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Let's kick out the second one because you've already had it in. Do you remember what mucha is?
It's a fly.
Okay, so you can chuck that one out. And żądło?
There's a sting.
Oh, well done. And you haven't seen that for 2 months?
I haven't seen
Okay, so there's a couple more we can check out. Okay then, I can't make you compact anything because it's already been compacted. This looks like a level 2 or 3 distillation. Looks like it should start to look over there or down there, yeah?
Okay.
And it's already up there because you were a bit too enthusiastic about putting phrases in too early. That is the problem if you learn from a phrase book. That you're not learning what the different parts of the phrase mean. You should learn the parts of the phrase, then compact them into the phrase later, in my opinion, when you're using the gold list anyway. Which is, but we got to 7 things off, didn't we? So you can still distill from this to just 17 down to 17. So it'll be 19, 18 to 34 going down there. Yeah. But what you're going to do from now on is basically use those 2 techniques, kicking out what you know best. Yeah. The problem is you won't be able to. What you can do is you can take a book or a piece of paper and cover the English side. Yeah, like this, and just for yourself go from the Polish into the English. Yeah, which ones you remember? Aborcja. Yeah, it's quite an easy one, isn't it? Maybe nieobecny, nieobecność is the sort of thing that you could put together into a single line. Nieobecny with ość in brackets. Absent with the brackets CE for absence. Yeah. Afterwards, yeah, where if you've got them quite correctly on 2 lines here, you could put those onto a single line, yeah. Something like aborcja, which is fairly obvious. Once you get used to it, you can kick it out altogether, and just go through yourself and look at the ones that you remember, yeah. On, you should be able to remember on.
He.
Yes, he, yeah. Brzuch and brzuszny are, in like brzuszny is the adjective from brzuch, so again you can probably put them together in the next one, but I don't want to kind of lead you too much in that. Do you remember brzuch and brzuszny?
No, I don't actually.
Well, stomach. You've said abdomen and abdominal. Abdominal doesn't have an R in it. Okay, so yeah. So do you reckon you'd be able to have a crack at if you start doing it like that, yeah, doing like I've done, started you off on, yeah, try and aim for about 7 out of 25 to kick out.
Okay.
Probably about half of them by chucking them out altogether, and half of them by compounding them into phrases. Where you had that page with all the phrases already on, you can't really compound any further, so it's only really chucking them out, and that's slower. So that page, although we did manage to get down to 7 things, afterwards you took my advice and did things more word by word. But my suggestion generally is to put the Polish on the left-hand side and the English that you're trying to get to on the right-hand side. That's more what I would do. Because later on you might even find that you don't even need to write the English in at all.
Okay, so it's just a process of remembering the Polish, and that's it.
Yes, that's what it's all about. It's remembering the Polish, really. Whereas you've got it. This is the way around you would do things, and if you were learning English from Polish. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to hurt you doing it that way, but I think it's more logical to have the target language first, and then what it is in your own language afterwards. Have you've done that? Yeah. And again, you've obviously done this from a bit of a dictionary rather than from the course, because it's going through in pure alphabetical order, and that's not teaching you how to use these words. Yeah, but never mind. We'll get there. But I do think that you need to start to think about using the course. It's a pity that you did it this way rather than use the course that I gave you, because this isn't teaching you how to use those words at all, you see. It's just, okay, you can put them into the memory, but sooner or later you're only going to be able to use them if you can use them grammatically, and that means doing it from the course, yeah? Which is why I gave you that course.
Well, I started reading that course over the last few weeks, and I'm actually through to chapter 3.
Okay, well, if you're reading, that's one thing, but then what you need to do is take that course, take the vocab from that, and then gold list that rather than gold list straight from the dictionary. which isn't helping you to work out which of these are nouns, which of them are adjectives, etc. If you haven't done the course to show you the way that nouns and adjectives look and how they behave in different situations. Because, okay, it's all very well having a bunch of vocabulary, but it can be rather, if you just say the vocabulary without linking it together grammatically properly, it can lead to quite spectacular misunderstanding.
Yeah, I've also been starting to look at the structured parts. For example, the meanings for I need, I want, I am, you are, that type of thing.
Well, you need to stick all of that in this, because what you've done now is it's a bit of a dictionary exercise, and I don't recommend that, as I said on a recent film. And I did say to you a few times when I saw you doing this, you know, leave that be and do the course, put the course in here. But I see that you've having started it, you wanted to finish it and get through that vocab list that you found. But I'm not sure whether that would have been a very good thing to do after you'd done the course. That would have been an excellent thing to do, to take from that list after you've already done that other course, and use that as, for example, a checklist. But doing it first, I don't think has been optimal for you at all. But it probably won't hurt you that much, as long as you do get onto the course eventually. Because it'll give you a bit of an advantage when you see the words in the course. You might know them a bit better than just seeing them blind. But you probably would have been a lot more advantaged if you'd have taken the course like I suggested, and then do these later.
Well, I mean, the course looks at phrases at the beginning anyway, and also words and how they sound.
Yeah, but it explains to you why they come together, and it gives you the individual vocabulary items, right? And explains to you how they come together. So you could put them in. You could put them in as individual vocabulary items, then put the phrase in too, and then later you can distill it down so that you've only got the phrase in, because it already contains individual. So you've got a count of how much vocab you've got, and at the same time you're distilling it nicely away. But it's okay, it's a reasonable start, and I can tell that, you see, you learned the stuff that you got at the very beginning, you've learned it pretty well. I mean, even things like sting and what have you, and fly. Yeah, how do you say fly? Oh, I see, you know it, really, you do know it. So, so you see, it shows that you can do it. Yeah?
If you put the effort in, I guess you can.
Yeah, you know, you don't have to cram it there and then, yeah? You just have to go through the algorithm in a nice, relaxed way. Did you sit there and try to learn Mucha? No, very good, because you shouldn't. Yeah, but it happened, didn't it? Your memory happened to sample that word, and John will.
It's because of the strangeness of the word and the way it sounds. That's how you can remember. But
however it is, that your particular, because the long-term memory, believe you me, is subconscious. You can't make it do what it doesn't want to do. Yeah, any more than you can change your heart rate. Yeah, I showed you one time me changed my heart rate a little bit by concentrating on it. Yeah, but that's not what most people can do. But in the case of the long-term memory, you can lead a horse to water.
You can't make it drink.
But you can't make it drink. Yeah, and if ever there was a horse led to water, but not wishing necessarily to drink exactly the bits of water that we think, it's your long-term memory. Yeah, so therefore, the leading the horse to water is actually writing out lists of words, okay?
Exactly.
And the memory is going to drink. You can't make it drink. You can force the short memory to drink. You can say drink and it drinks. Yeah. You can feed. I mean, the short-term memory you could think of as the goose, which is force-fed in order to make its liver fat, but shortly after that gets killed. That's like the short-term memory. Whereas your horse that you would like to keep for many years, therefore you lead it to water, yeah, and you try and encourage it to drink, but you don't know when it's going to drink, and neither can you necessarily stand over watching and waiting until it drinks. You just hope it has a sense to drink some of what you put in front of it in order to stay alive, and you know that a horse will drink to stay alive. It's not going to thirst itself to death if you've put it in front of clean, appropriate water.
Exactly.
So in the same way you trust your long-term memory to feed itself, it has to eat these words just in the same way, or to sample a certain amount of these words just the same way as the horse has to drink a certain amount of water from its trough. Yeah, you know that a horse needs to take 30% of the water you've put in its trough where it's going to be thirsty. The same with your long-term memory. Yeah, so it's just go through this in a nice measured pace. Don't stand over it in the same way as you might make a horse nervous if you're standing over it while it's supposed to be drinking from the trough. Yeah, it might be standing there looking at you and not drinking because it's wondering when you're going to go away and leave it in peace to enjoy its drinking pleasures in private, you know.
Very true.
So therefore, going through the gold list in a relaxed way rather than try and cram it there and then is the correct way to make your long-term memory horse drink some of the water you've led it to. And then going through and doing the distillation that we've just done after the 2 weeks are through and the short-term memory's goose has already been cooked, taking the analogy further of farm animals, then you know that whatever's left in your head isn't in the goose, it's in the horse.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so therefore you can calmly go through and see what the horse took. Whereas if you did it any sooner, if you did it, you think that you had certain things, but they were only in that goose which is about to be taken off and have its pate turned to liver turned into pate.
So, to be honest, what's the longest or the shortest amount of time using the gold list method?
2 weeks. Yeah, is that what you were going to ask?
No,
sorry, jumping the gun.
How long after you've gone through the gold list method?
Actually, it's only me on shot. I don't know why I'm doing it like that. I've had my computer like that to avoid the glare from the window this morning.
Okay.
I should have turned it round to you.
The question I'm asking is that with the gold list, after you've gone through the process of writing down all the vocabulary, all the information that you basically need to speak, how long should a person take to be able to speak after using this method properly?
Well, if you used the course, it would be a bit quicker, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Because gold listing without going through the course isn't going to actually get you to speak. It's going to give you a very, very fine memory of dictionary words, but dictionaries don't enable you to speak, courses do.
I agree.
Which is why you needed to at some stage, this will enhance the things that you do when you do the course, but you're still going to have to do the course and combine the course with this method before you start speaking. But if you had used the course, then I think that by the time you get through the course, which is perhaps 2,000 words, and have distilled it down through 2 books, which is equivalent of 6,000 pieces of writing, because each of them ends up being written on 3 times in average. So you can work it out on a calculator, really. If you say that you want to take 2,000 words, and you want to times that by 3 is 60,000. If you say that 25 words takes 20 minutes, then divide that by 25. Divide your 6,000 by 25. And multiply it by 20. You've got 48,000 minutes. If you divide that by the number of minutes you're going to do a day, which let's say you did an hour a day in 3 different sessions, so divide it by 60, but remember to leave gaps in between them, then that would be 80 days, wouldn't it?
80 days?
Yes, 80 days.
So about 2 months, no more than 3.
Of actual gold list work, in addition to which you should do the reading and the understanding part of the course. But the actual memorizing, the pure memorizing part of it would take you, if you worked at it in that way, would take you 80 days, yes, to cover 2,000 words, which is O-level standard, and you can speak at that level, basic, what you need. I think that I've seen people putting in that length of memorizing time on languages of the complexity of Polish or the difference to their existing language of Polish, and being able to really function in Polish without too much difficulty in about that length of time, and I think is realistic. 80 days at an hour a day, I think using this system and using a proper course at the outset, because you're going to need to spend about 40 hours on the course as well, to go through the course, to do the exercise and to understand the grammatical things which are being given. So by the time you've done that, you've probably spent 120 hours to get to an O-level ability. And if you compare with the way that what happens in schools here, with the teacher standing there over you with a blackboard duster and some chalk, that's fairly realistic, isn't it?
Well, so far I've spent 2 months on this system.
But how much? You say 2 months. Let's get it down to actual hours of work with proper breaks around it. How many blocks of 20 minutes do you think you spent?
Oh, probably. Well, the days show it, so I'm just thinking that.
Well, I think that if you said that you needed, you see, because you've gone to 1,500, but not with the course, and so therefore you've given yourself isolated words, which will help you later if you memorise them, but it ain't going to help you speak. So if you do the next bit after, you can, now that they're there, you may as well distill them, yeah, because it's not going to hurt you to distill them. But if you do the next bit after this with the course, rather than go to the stubbornly on to Z, you're at P or something like that, I saw, yeah, and then do the rest R to Z at the end of the course. Then that will give you the exact understanding of what I mean, because when you carry on doing that same word list to the end after you've done the course, you'll do it with an awful lot more understanding of how it all fits together than doing it right now before you've even done the course, yeah. So therefore, I think that putting them all together, a 2,000 word course plus what's likely to be a 2,000 word list of vocabulary that you've got there, yeah, and it overlaps quite strongly, so that you're probably going to find that because you've got the words in here, you don't need to stick them all in again. So let's say that you might end up with 3,000 words, and then by the time you've taken them all through the gold list, which means you've encountered them on average 3 times each, yeah, and again, that's 9,000 pieces of line. That's 9,000 lines of work in this system. Yeah. Divide that by 25 and times it by 20. You've got 7,200, which if you divide that by 60 gives you 120. Yeah. So that gives you 120 days. And then you add your 40 on for actually doing the course and exercises in the course. That would give you 160 days, wouldn't it?
160 days. So
yeah, worth of work. Whereas the value of the work that you've done so far, at 1,500 words taken one way, divide that by 25 times 20. Yeah, divide that by 60. 20. So 20 divided by 160 is 12.5%. So you can say that you've got 12.5% of what you need already behind you. It may not feel like 12.5%, but it is.
Which almost equates to...
Because what you feel it is and what it actually is completely different things. Because when you've got 12.5% of what you need to get in your head in order to be fluent on Polish, as long as you don't delay too much on getting onto that course. Okay?
Which works out to be about 6 months it will take, which is basically what you said in the beginning. You said it will take 6 months roughly.
Yeah, it does. It does, even for somebody who's a beginner with languages. But you've needed to listen to me when I talked about the course, yeah. Because this is all very well, but it isn't your optimal solution to it.
Yeah, I mean, the goal list is a starting method, then the course is the next method.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's a combination of the two.
Let me just tell you, the goal list is the memorizing method. Okay, the course is where you're getting your explanations from. This doesn't explain you anything.
No, this is just
all it does is memory. All that does is it enables you to memorize things in the long-term memory. It could be dates in history that you decide that you don't want to just cram for an exam, but actually go through life looking sophisticated enough to say, oh yes, Battle of Hastings 1066, yeah? Which people that cram for history exams can't remember their dates afterwards, whereas if you did it through this method in a measured pace, you'd have them for life, yeah? So it's a lifelong learning method in two senses. First of all, it enables you to carry on learning over your life and mix together different areas of learning, but also enables you to be sure that what you have put through this system stays with you through the rest of your life. Okay, because it's learned to the long-term memory rather than the short-term memory. Because of those breaks involved in it, and the way in which you study with adequate breaks during it, and you don't cram and you don't overdo it, but do it in a measured pace and keep coming back and adding in one single book and a lot of information patiently over time. This enables you to bring in to put a lot of information into your long-term memory with the least time wasted on cramming, things so that you can look very, very fantastic on a given day, because you can always cram, yeah. And it doesn't actually, long term, it doesn't upset what you're doing with your long term memory. If you decided that you wanted to cram a bit to look good on a particular occasion coming up, you can always cram for that. But then you need to get back to the habit. You just don't expect to keep what you cram. Yeah, you then go back to the long term memory method in order to carry on building something which is going to last. Yeah, either a language or an understanding of something based on needing to know a lot of input facts like history. There's a lot of other areas that you could include it in as well. I can imagine that doctors ought to use the goal list system, because instead of just cramming for exams and knowing where to look, they should, because over what they're learning while they're doctors, they should be able to call on from memory when consulting with patients over the coming, many years of their practice. And therefore, for doctors, it's absolutely not good for them to be using traditional cramming methods so that they get through their exams and look like they're qualified, but then afterwards they can't recall it, because then people's lives are at risk. And so I would certainly think that doctors need to think about using something like the goal list system for learning about the effects of drugs or learning various facts about the disease and what have you, and to try and put together templates for, and I've never done medical study so I don't know exactly what it looks like, but to try to put templates together for how they would study. Lawyers as well, they need to have quite a long-term memory about legal cases. I could more easily probably put together a template for how to apply the goal list method to learning case law, so that you would go through each case in a certain order, make each one like a one-liner, and then have ways of distilling that down from maybe 12 lines per case down to gradually 4 lines per case, and just by simple distillation, and then simply kick out the unneeded bits as you knew that you'd remembered them. So that if you've got something like Smith v Leach Brain and what have you, it's a nice memorable case name, so we may not need that as a whole line after a short time. Certainly if you need to, not all lawyers do, but if you need to remember which year it was, you'd start that off as a separate line on the head list, but then put it up one level higher for the second distillation. Not everybody needs these things for their law exams, but and you can look them up afterwards, of course, but because most lawyers have got great big case, in the UK have got huge case book collections which are part of their library, which cost an awful lot of money. They actually depreciate them in their accounts, unlike most businesses where if you buy a book it goes straight to the profit and loss account. Lawyers actually have to buy huge collections of books, and they actually treat them as fixed assets and depreciate them over a number of years. So it's quite interesting, but certainly I believe that lawyers and doctors could get a lot out of learning their subjects from using a memory tool like the goal list system as well.
Well, I certainly hope I can actually achieve the goal of the next maybe 3 months to be able to speak basic Polish.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to watch you do it, because after all, as long as you don't go flying back to Australia or anything like that, while you're here, I think that now that you didn't want to do this at first because you didn't kind of believe what I was talking about, but now that you've started it, I think that as you do this and you go through the distillations and everything, and as you accelerate in it, you'll see what I mean, and you'll be able to say to all the boys and girls out there and the men and women and everybody else that might be watching that it's actually worked for you better than the other ways, like the people that have emailed me from the films that they've seen who've done it, and they've emailed me saying that it's worked better for them than other things. So
Wow.
But,
and you can still use this process of, if you wanted to learn another language, not just the one you want to learn, but you can learn further language like you have.
Well, hang on a second. You'll never learn language if you don't want to learn it, because you simply won't give it the time. Yeah. So the first thing in anything is motivation. If you try and learn something which you don't want to learn, then you're not going to get much cooperation out of your long-term memory, because memory, and especially the long-term memory, You know, it listens to Barbara Streisand. Yeah, what's too painful to remember, we simply choose to forget.
Exactly.
And although forgetting is not an elective process, we subconsciously elect, if you like, the short-term memory, like it subconsciously chooses which words it's going to remember. And you can only guess, and it's an exercise in self-knowledge, is to guess why it chose that, not another word. The same way when it forgets something which it had learned before, yeah, and yet, you know, you come back to it and you think, well, no, it's not going to tell me, it's not telling me what you know, and maybe, you know, you can sometimes find out, well, yes, because it was linked into something which was unpleasant, and I didn't enjoy it. That's one of the reasons why I say to people, try and make you have to want to learn a language. If you don't want to learn it, you're wasting your time. If you can associate the language with pleasant experiences, then it certainly is. It's you know, going to help. And same with any of the other subjects you might try and learn using the goal list. If you can make sure that it's done pleasurably, then it's going to be better for you. I mean, for example, gold lists which start to look really horrible because people don't give them much of their nice attention, don't write nicely in them with nice handwriting, they're probably not going to be as successful as gold lists where, you know, the person learning has taken the trouble to really write it nicely, to do it in a nice book, yeah? Which is why I like these larger hardback books which can be written in very nicely. And I think that helps coax the subconscious into playing ball with the whole process and to actually get engaged in it. Also, not doing things for more than 20 minutes or so at a time, and therefore breaking it down to 25 words blocks, and not trying to do too much at once, is a way of keeping the subconscious interested, because we can't tell when it gets tired. We have to make the decision for it. You are tired, because we don't feel it getting tired. It's not like a muscle where, you know, after 20 minutes of exercising a muscle you might think, well, this is a bit stiff. You can't feel that with the long-term memory. It's subconscious, part of your subconscious state, part of the whole toolkit of subconscious things which God gave you, yeah, and which work very well, at least as well as what's conscious. Sometimes the things which are conscious don't work as well as the things which are subconscious, and memory is no exception. So it's a question of finding out, you know, and taking on trust to a certain degree, certain things which God has given us.
Yeah, pretty much what I did with you, coming here for the first time, putting some trust in you to see what sort of risk I actually would have taken.
Well, I can tell you this, nothing that I've promised has not been fulfilled. And I was very careful about what I could promise, and so whatever you've got is certainly at least what was promised and probably more than I promised, correct?
Very true.
Okay,
very true.
Right. So
okay.
I didn't make any big promises to this guy about what would happen if he came to Poland. So he can't say that. Oh dear, the fact that I'm now, you know, not rolling around in riches and luxury with women up to my head, etc. every 5 minutes. It's not my fault. I didn't promise those things. So, but what was promised, even what I said would try to do, but weren't sure whether it would be done. In the end, I did it, didn't I? So
yes, and it's been greatly received. So
greatly received or gratefully?
Gratefully.
Okay, well, be thankful up there, not to me, because I don't have anything that I haven't received. Okay.
Okay. Cheers.